Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are
Sorry.
you?
Yeah, I moved to a new office, so it's so boring my background.
That's
Just
okay.
basically people. Yeah. So I'm still working on it. Yeah. So yeah, just moved last week. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Yeah. So I just thought, as you can hear, I moved an office. I have a cross position between the School of Design and Symbiotica. So I'm very busy. That's why I thought it will be better to talk rather than me starting to write an essay. Um, yeah. So shoot whatever question you might have.
All right. Well, okay. I sent you the questions before. I don't know if you had a chance to look over them or not. Um,
Okay, we can ask me again because it's not in front of me.
well, I've got them up too. So,
Okay, and what books are you writing for? Sorry?
so here in the U.S., there's a developing transhumanist party, and we're working with Springer Science to create kind of just an introductory book, really. So each person is writing a separate chapter, and I'm writing on how art has kind of influenced or created transhumanism and so on.
So you consider yourself as a transhumanist?
I suppose so. It's something that interests me. I like the biohacking stuff mostly. So.
Because I'm very critical of transhumanists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you may not get the answer you want to get.
Any answer is fine. It's more of how art has kind of opened up people's minds to, enhancing themselves, so to speak, or taking technology and doing new things with it. So.
Okay. Yeah. I'll just tell you, maybe I'll start with the fact that enhancement is a very, already what do you mean by enhancing is one question that, I would, argue I am more posthumanist rather than transhumanist, if you know the difference.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah. So that would be interesting for you to discuss. Okay, sure. Yeah,
right.
let's.
So yeah, the first question is just generally, how did you get inspired to do bio art?
Oh, what is bio art? I hate this word. I prefer to look at it as art that uses biology or life. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's more art and life rather than art and, biotechnology as such. The thing is that at the moment we are living in times when life or biology becomes the new technology or becomes even further technologized. And it's funny because the more we give in machines or non-living technologies, we try to make them more autonomous, and more kind of consciousness. And you think about driverless cars and AI and all that. At the same time, we're taking already conscious, complex, autonomous systems, such as organisms, and we try to dumb them down into machines.
Okay.
Yeah? And I find that paradoxical. Okay? But I think many of the things that we humans do or think is paradoxical. So I'm very interested in that paradox and that desire of us to take something that is already probably, more complex than be aware of it and comprehend what it is. And we think with our, kind of hubris and arrogance that we can make it into a dumb machine. So, so this is it. So what inspired me? I think, is looking at the situation that we live in at the moment, the Anthropocene. We are how, we reach the moment in human in our, society currently at the moment that, again, uses life in a very unprecedented ways. And I feel that as a, person in that society, I need to make my own critical view and response to what is happening. And one way is to do it, and also I think it's all coupled with extreme neoliberalism and capitalism and Trumpism, as you people in America know. And I think it's extremely important to find alternative voices to try and figure it out, to try and understand what is happening. And I don't say, yeah, let's go and make better humans. On the contrary, I say we are, we're so arrogant in the way we think that, already the control we have over technology, but also that we know what's better for us.
Yeah.
And the way that I can do it is as an artist rather than, as an artist, I have the contract with society that I can tackle those big questions and suggest also, open up questions rather than find solution.
Yeah.
Tease those problems and discuss them. Yeah.
So that actually leads into my next question. As
Yeah.
Symbiotica has become an attractive destination for people interested in this kind of work, do you feel the department has helped establish an active community concerned with bioethics and biotechnology?
Yeah, so first of all, Symbiotica is, diverse in the people that are coming and their agendas, ideologies, interests, etc. So you have everything from people who are very interested, I guess, in biopolitics, in ethics, etc., to more kind of people who are just fetishize this technology, and wants to do all sorts of really cool stuff with it. To people who are, transhumanists, to people who are posthumanists. And we try to keep it so there is, we're not censors. So we try and keep the variety of opinions and ideologies there. Saying all that, because we are a small community, as you said, located in quite, I guess, isolated place in the world. So whoever comes is basically stuck with us. We do have a lot of discussion about ethics and politics. And we have Friday seminars when we have people, all sorts of people coming from different aspects of life to discuss those issues. So even if you are not really interested in that, you will eventually, you'll be exposed to that. What you do with that is something else.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, you're kind of isolated in that part of Australia, but everyone seems to travel out there. Has the local community and local government been positive or negative as to the work you guys are doing?
Yeah. It's funny. First of all, we are supported by the university and at the moment by the local government through funding for the arts. So those two bodies support us. Saying all that, you always acknowledge more outside of, of your own country. And at the beginning, I would say that we are more known and appreciated outside of Australia than inside. But saying all that, it changes, I guess, because more and more people are going through Symbiotica and doing things that leave some impression in other places in the world. And I think it's a lot to do because we started quite early on in that respect. We were one of, if not the first, probably the first laboratory for artists in a scientific department that had access for artists to come and work with life, with, the, if you want, cutting-edge technology, biotechnologies. And we're still promoting that. And I know there are other places around the world who try to imitate this model, And I don't think anyone was extreme. Well, it depends. There are certain aspects that were successful or not. But most of those places are not located within a science faculty in a university. Some of them are part of an art school, and that's a bit different because we're working alongside scientists. We're part of the science community. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think also we very, very much keeping critical thinking. So, as I said, ethics, politics, all that is constantly discussed rather than, the idea of making products for consumers or finding the new innovation that will make patents and money. Our idea is to be very much about cultural discussion and debate.
Okay. So, like, among your peers, has there been any, obviously there's probably been some discussion, but like sizable discussion as to, morphological freedom and that kind of commercial aspect of it?
Say it again. I don't think I understood. Sorry. In the symbiotical group, the discussion about what? Sorry.
About that commercial side that you talked about. The concerns revolving around that and.
Concerns? Yes, definitely, because we see more and more. I think another phenomena that we see through our development in Symbiotica, how at the beginnings, artists working with biology was an anomaly, and now you see more artists and designers working with biotech companies. So, the biology is moving, as a technology moving outside of pharmaceuticals or agriculture into consumer products. This is definitely happening, and that should raise concern. And we are responding to that in many respects. Again, we have to see it in a larger context of capitalism. And I think this is a different product because, again, we're using living organisms and maybe ourselves as part of it. And as opposed to non-living, even with non-living technology, we think we know the consequences for the long term, and we don't.
Yeah.
So with living technology, which is much more complex and unpredictable, definitely we have no idea. So, again, it's not that I'm against it. I'm just saying, it's not just utopian or dystopian. It's, and it needs to be looked in context. And the context of our world at the moment with the Anthropocene, with the ecological crisis, with extreme neoliberalism is a bit worrying. Yeah, but of course, there are people who are discussing those ideas. And again, this is though not the main aim of Symbiotica. If they want to come and learn a few techniques and aspects, they can come. Again, I would recommend to you also to speak to Symbiotica director, Ron Katz. I'm sure he'll be happy. And he might give you a different, because he's coming from design, might give you another aspect of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
To narrow it down a little bit, some of your projects use immortalized cells.
Yeah.
Has that in particular been picked up by commercial by companies or by people interested in that? It seems like a
you talked about about longevity, yes?
What's that?
I'll tell you, longevity. What seems to work at the moment is taking blood from youth. I think what's his name is doing it in Silicon Valley. So it's kind of simple, just take blood from young people and it might. Immortal cells are cancer cells. So again, the paradox is that when you have immortal cells in your body, you have cancer cells.
Okay.
So you don't want that in your body. Yeah, because it will kill you.
Yeah.
And most of the first human immortal cell line, was Henrietta Lacks cells. That there is a lot of stories. She was a Black American woman You can do a search in Google. It's called HeLa, Hela, and I think there is a movie coming out about that cell. It's actually the reason that it was the first immortal cells. It's because it was a very problematic cancer. She had ovarian cancer that killed her basically very quickly, and the cells were so virulent that it was easy to grow them outside of the body in vitro. So I don't know. I know there are discussion about that. Humans. The search for immortality is not new, and I know the transhumanists are continuing that in many respects. I don't think that immortal cells are the option. I think they also talk about telomeres, which are when cell divides, there is in the end this telomere. I'm really simplifying it, but it's something like like how do you call it? Like a zipper that opens up. So every normal cells, healthy cells in our body have around 55 divisions until it dies. And this process called the Haflix effect. Haflix, after the name of the scientist who discovered that. And that's so they think in a school of thought that believe that this telomere, this zipper, if they'll manage to fix the mechanism that opens it up and makes the cell old, they'll find the secret of youth. They're doing it for a long time and they didn't find any, we still, the best way to live longer is the simple way of keeping exercise and eating well and being lucky. So, again, immortal cells sound sexy, but they are cancer cells.
Yeah.
When you work with your own, I have a student who wants to immortalize her own cells. But when she works with them outside of her body, she needs to be extra careful. Because if for some reason those cells will, go back to her body, they'll be cancer cells. Okay. They'll kill her.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. So, considering your large body of work, how has the discussion evolved, and how has each, piece kind of changed the discussion? So, like, between...
Yeah. Okay, so it seems, that's when you feel really old. Because I remember, we started to work even when the Human Genome Project, just started. And there was so much hype and so much hope that once we decipher the human genome, we'll find the cure for everything. And then now when I talk to scientists, they say, well, the human genome was lovely, but, probably if you look at it in historical terms, it will be just a footnote in our progress. So what we see is the more we learn about things, we learn how much we still don't know. Yeah. So we think, oh, okay, we'll understand the genome, we'll follow what's called the central dogma. Now there is a realization, maybe it's not in the genes, maybe it's the RNA. Now they're talking about, microbiome, that actually our body is not just human DNA, it's also maybe the microbes that live in us makes us who we are, all sorts of things. So it's a very complex environment. For me, it's very interesting, again, to follow those developments and work in the lab and work with scientists and see those discussions and changes going on and do works in response to that. So, for example, now I'm looking at, Ron and I, we're looking a lot at the field of synthetic biology. That you can do a search about that. And looking again at, we are very interested in cell fusion. Now there is the idea we can fuse cells of human and of mammal, whatever, human or whatever, with yeast cell. in order to do also experiments. So for me at the moment, the idea of species crossing is extremely interesting. Okay. Before that, it was the idea of growing tissues, and doing sculptures and all sorts of things with them. There was time that movement was interesting to me. So all the time it changes. I think once you do a work and you show it to the public, you also learn how people respond to that. Yeah. And you learn where you were successful or not. So many people think that we are very transhumanist. I guess we're not very successful showing that we're not. For me, it's very interesting not to concentrate on the human, but rather on other, that humans are part of a larger organism, that human is already an ecology, a multi-species person. So also when we're talking about enhancing human, we are talking enhancing a whole ecology. So maybe the enhancement shouldn't be just, you can use machines to do all sorts of things, but maybe, by enhancing your microbiota, maybe it's about changing the fungi and the bacteria in your body that will enhance you, but it's much easier to think about in terms of, I guess you very much refer to the way Stella is talking, which is quite interesting, because Stella also lives here for a few years now, and it's part of the community, which is very lovely. So he looks a lot of how, exoskeleton to be stronger, to be, I don't know. It's more problematic to do with, I guess, cognitive enhancement, if that's what you mean. And then, I really, really think that we need to think more in terms of what bacteria we would like to consume and things like that.
Okay. So,
did I? Yeah.
So, a lot of your work does focus on kind of addressing the definition of what life actually is. With the leather jacket. I seem to recall an article where it's just excess cells that are sloughed off. Are they considered alive?
Yeah.
How does a society or a government adapt their views and definitions based on this upcoming research, this data?
Yeah. So it's funny, we just been to an art and law conference because we thought, all those kind of new definition to life and what can be done with life and making life consumer products will raise a lot of issues in law and policy making, etc. It seems that, again, it's very lagging behind. And it needs to be, I guess, put on, especially now we hear a lot about CRISPR, for example, and there is discussion about, what will happen when we start, for example, and design babies and things like that. So those discussions are happening. I think, okay, let's start from the beginning. What is life, I think, is more a philosophical question than an actual question. Yeah. And that's why, when we're looking at the idea of synthetic biology and protocells, life that is built from scratch, if you talk to Craig Venter, he will say, I, already created the first artificial life. Because he took a bacteria cell with a, very small, a small DNA sequence. He took the DNA out, sequenced it on a machine, and put the DNA in. And for him, that's enough, because that's, DNA, that's life, yeah? He didn't mention, or he didn't emphasize the fact that he already used a cell. He couldn't actually do what he did without the cell. He needed the cell, the bacteria cell, with all its machinery, with its own mitochondrial DNA, in order to have this life happening. But he's we call it, or Ron and I call him DNA chauvinist. For him, life is DNA. Because what does male bring into, when you create a baby, what does male bring? He brings is DNA. The rest, the women are doing. So I think that life is much more. I think that life, the cell is extremely important. We haven't created life from scratch. Again, but what is the definition of life? Because with AI and everything, those are. So I think this is a philosophical question. There is a lot of hype around what is happening now, and that creates a lot of expectation and fears at the same time. Well, the reality is in the middle. If you go, one of the things that we do love artists come to the lab is that they see that things are much more boring, mundane in the lab. All those promises are made by the media, but in reality, it's, the error, the uncertainty, all those kind of things are still very, very prevalent. So in that respect, but saying all that, definitely, all those kind of things are shaping our near future. And that's why artists should be in the lab, so they can advise or can, communicate, tease out things that scientists are not there to look at. Social scientists are usually like to be in their office. Artists are the best ambassadors because they are manipulators. They are kind of crazy anthropologists who go and embed themselves within the tribe they are looking at. So in many respects, I think we're working a lot with social scientists who, discuss with us what is happening in the lab, what is the reality in the lab. And I think I answered your question, more or less. I don't know. I just go in rounds. Yeah. Well, the questions are very open as well.
Well, that's kind of like mine.
But you know what? I think that if we are looking at scary things, biology is there and not scary, but problems. I think we have problem with privacy, for example, now that even this we cannot handle with the internet and and all those kind of things. So let alone with biology. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, a lot of the discussion is about what is changing, as far as definitions in biology. How does the student who shows up day one, how do they change throughout their coursework?
Oh, okay, interesting. I think they come and they think they're going to do their dream project and it will be very, very easy, and it will leave a splash in the world. And then they realize how complicated it is. So it's, I think they start with, again, as I said, this, many people outside of the lab are very influenced by the hype around biotechnology. So they come with lots of expectation and lots of fears. What are the scientists and what is science and biotechnology? And I think it's exercise of reducing those kind of expectations and understanding how complex is the system and how, when you work in the lab, there's a laborious process of experimentation that to manipulate life and to make life do what you want is very difficult. Life resists that, and life is a dynamic system. So, if you work, for example, many people compare it to computers, and I think that's a problem, because when you write a code on the computer, it will always be the same code. Yeah, when you start to manipulate life, it changes constantly. So there is the element of dynamic system that is not always predictable, and it also has its own agency in a way, so the organism will always try to compensate for its own whatever, advantages, whatever, we have no words to describe those kind of things. So I think the student get immersed in the lab quite quickly, but also realizes how difficult and sometimes boring it is. And also, unlike many other mediums, it takes time. So you do experiment, but then you have to wait a few weeks sometimes, So I think then there is more realization of what it is, what does it mean to work with life and the complexities that involve with it. But also the fascination, how this life is so complex and amazing. And they're becoming much more, I hope, thinking people. Also, they invest in life. I always take them also to, for example, to the animal facilities so they can see where cells coming from. So, it's not a victimless pursuit. And because I want them to think about the ethical implication. It's very easy to completely mediate between what you're working with and the technology. And I try to show, okay, we're using here living system. And usually they come with very, very interesting projects, but it takes them longer than expected. And I think the projects are much more complex and less kind of, you want to create the effect to audience, because we are artists, we want to create an effect. But also the knowledge behind that effect is much more substance, like has more substance, if you can say. Again.
So you say they come with these big ideas. Where do you think these ideas come from? Do they come from that one random research paper they read in high school? Does it come from the new sci-fi movie they just saw? Or
everything. So they are, I think you come because not many of them has the ability to work with materials. Some, always work with living materials in the backyard and things like that. But most of the people, are influenced by the media, by sci-fi, by books they read as well, by reading what's happening in the media. So they come from a conceptual perspective, and then they start to work with material. Many artists like working with material, so they come and they learn how the material works and what you can do with it, and that's how projects emerge. So I think it's a combination of those two, and I would say that also in our own work, sometimes there is an issue that really touches us, but sometimes we just work with cells and they do this phenomena that is intriguing, and from that will come a project. So you have those two ways. But I would say most people like you are just fascinated from what they read and what they see, and they don't have much chance to actually work with the materials and work with those facilities. And we have access to all those machines and things that you work with. So that enables them, and I think that's the advantage of Symbiotica, that it enables people with no access and no background in biology to get this entrance, and that usually changes your project, because you can't do what you see in the movies.
Yeah. So as one last question is, how can artists continue to push this conversation about, bioethics, biology, and how can they be successful in creating a little bit of a change in mindset?
Yeah. Again, it's very humble. I think a little bit, what artists are doing already is important. Think about it. Again, you're very young, but I'm thinking 20 years ago, when I talked about this field, people thought I'm crazy and, what will come out of it? Why are you doing it? And now, I'm actually teaching people to do these kind of things. And you see, younger generation, again, I have kids. And you remember the mouse with the ear on its back?
Yes.
You know that? Yeah. So when I started to teach, I would show it to students. And students get really, and I would say, how many people have, any problem with this kind of a kind of image or, this project. And many people would raise their hands. Today, when I show it, people don't respond so much because for them, of course, we, born into a world where mouse have ears on their back and things like that. It's not. And then I realized that, the new normal is very different to what I grew up on. And fair enough, that's the way we live. I think it's, the main problem. One is that, again, I do believe we are having a global warming effect, and we'll have to deal with that. So some artists respond to that. I do think we live, the neoliberal capitalist system is unsustainable as well, so we'll have to deal with that. I do want to, the way I educate my students and kids, and it's just me, is that we do have to care for life. And we do, it's not that I'm saying, with the new knowledge and application that we have, it's impossible not to do, but maybe we need to rethink of what we want to do with that. So again, I'm not saying, no, we can't manipulate life, because we always manipulated life. Since early humans manipulated life through, selective breeding, through domestication, all those kind of things. But we have at the moment a situation where those technologies are really, really powerful, and they change so fast as well that we become we need to, mistakes can happen in a larger scale. And we do need to think about where we want to take it and resist things that we, certain political aspects that using those technologies how will I say it, to create suffering. Again, I don't have answers. I don't have solutions. I'm not an optimist person in general. As an artist, I have the ability to create, some distractions, to create, future scenarios that, and tease out all sorts of hypocrisies that we're doing. And that's what I want artists to do, to create this kind of sense of, let's think, we can do things to create, if I say a better world, it sounds horrible, because a better for whom? But to be more compassionate about life and living beings around us. Oh, that sounds so fluffy. I'm very, very sorry. But I also believe that more and more people from the non-science should come to the lab. So I think, it's important to open the labs to not just scientists and not just business people, but to artists, social scientists, people like you, etc. I don't know where you come, writers. To decide better, because we are, we're humans, we're manipulators.
So that actually brings up one more question for me. How do we kind of break open the rest of, of society to new ideas, new thought processes? I mean, in America, it's this whole anti-intellectual side of things. How do we break into that and kind of broaden their point of view?
Well, again, I think the problem is much deeper. Again, I would say that, and I'm not expert in that whatsoever, so that's my, I think we live in, and especially in the US, capitalism has reached such an extreme that there is part of society that is so poor and so left out that, they want to resist. But because there's no education, we are the lucky one who've been educated. So we have we've been educated, we can express ourselves more or less in a, elegant way or articulate ourselves. Even. This is a learned skill. It's not something that you are born with. And when there is a part of society, and it's true for the whole world, I think, that is so, feels so, that's when I don't know, so left out, but then so uneducated, that of course they resist, but the resistance becomes the resistance that we don't think is the right one. So for me, it's more about getting education for everyone to start with. And then we can have this kind of discussion. We can't come to them and say, come on, listen to us. We know what's right. We've been educated. We are the elite. Of course they want to listen to us because we are the winner in this situation. Of course. We are, at this time in the world, in this place, we are the lucky ones, and they are not. So they'll resist as much as they can, but they won't listen to us, and fair enough. Yeah, I don't blame them because we are part of the problem. Come on, let's not be righteous here. We are, the fact that we have this luxury of being educated, traveling the world, and to conference and discussing about the situation of the world is a privilege. How we can solve this problem? It's a big problem. Again, I think we need to create a situation when we have to distribute the wealth better, both in terms of feeding the world and all that, but also in terms of giving education to everyone.
Do you think the artist part could kind of make it easier to break through that instead of saying, oh, this education needs more funding, because we already know that? Do you think the artist has a separate role to play in how we
do it? Yeah. I would say I do hope that what we do, this discussion, for example, and somehow we want to take it out. And we do it through, our what's called in university output, so exhibition, we give a lot of public talk, workshops, etc. And I do hope that we do some, if even very, very tiny change in thinking. I don't want to be self-righteous because, again, I travel the world and a lot of my art, I think all my art is political. Mm-hmm. It's not political it's political in a subversive way. And it's going against the idea of the neoliberal capitalist agenda. But it's not like, but it's more subtle in the way it goes. I do think that we are living in a society that is becoming more and more, not unequal. And the distribution, for example, with food, I know there is a problem with food, but I think the problem is a lot with the distribution of food. Oh, okay, I have a good example for you. We did the in vitro meat project, yeah, instead. This is a great example because there are now many, we did it as an artist in 2000. In 2000, we started to do that. And now there are companies, a lot of them will try to commercialize it and talking about how this technology will save the world. And this is bullshit. This is such bullshit because this technology won't save the world. It's still, first of all, it still uses animal-derived ingredients. It uses blood from animals, so it's not victimless-free. It's also used so many resources to do with energy, to do, with other things. It's much easier in a way to grow a cow and eat it rather than to grow cells in culture and try to create the biomass and the quality of the steak. Not just aesthetically, but also in terms of nutrition. And so what is the solution? To eat less meat. But of course, no one wants that because we don't want to continue and consume as much meat as we want. Business, to us, from a business point of view, to consume less is horrible. You need to create more consumer products to increase the business and to create more flow of money, etc. So you have here. Just a minute. Hello. Good. Can I call you in soon? I'm in a Skype. Okay. I'm in a Skype. Okay. Bye. So you have here a clear example of creating an unnecessary technology or consumer products, and tell a fictional story of how it's going to save the world. So we feel good about ourselves, so we can consume more and we can eat more. While the solution is so simple: just eat less meat. Not even asking not to eat meat, but just reduce the consumption. So So did we manage to take this message out through our artwork? I don't know. Each time I go and give a talk about this project, people are still convinced that this is the solution. And I said, no, we did this project from irony. We wanted to show how bullshit it is.
Yeah, but they're only getting like one part of what you did. Like, oh, you made this meat that tastes like Phelps.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. So, just as an example. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I've taken up 45 minutes of your time.
That's a pleasure. And if you want to talk more in the future, I'm happy. I would love to read what you're writing.
Yeah, and I mean, right now I'm working on the history section of how art has driven science, and as another person I'm interviewing soon, Dr. Akihiro Kubota, how it's created a mutual feedback loop. How art has created this idea, so someone built it, which then inspired an artist to do this, and then it just keeps on feeding itself.
Okay.
So I went all the way back, to ancient Greece. I'm now up to the Frankenstein era in the 1800s, and
okay, that next year, if you get your funding to come to Symbiotica, we're running a whole conference and a series of exhibitions in October of a year. So think about it. Are you on the mailing list, like on the digest of the Symbiotica website?
I'm not.
If you go to, I'm not pushing it whatsoever, but it will be interesting for you because we put in on our digest a lot of things that are happening in the field and new artwork, etc. So if you go to Symbiotica website, it's on the front page. You can just list yourself there, and then you'll hear about Frankenstein because next year, it's the 200th year since the publication, and of course, Symbiotica must do something around that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm literally just almost an armchair guy, like armchair researcher.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get money to go out. I've got 2 kids and a bunch of other things to take care of. I'd love to. Maybe someone out there can mail me the thousands of dollars.
Unfortunately, I can't. But you can. What's happening on the, on our letters that we send once a week, just if you want, of course. Cool. And open to, if you have later on you think about something specific you want me to clarify, you can email it to me.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck with the book, with the article, sorry.
Yeah. Bye.